What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Insurrection Inc. podcast. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoy the show.
I'm a little pissed that you took my idea of the FEMA camp thing and you got more likes on that tweet than I got on my earlier tweet. A little salty about that, but...
Wait, I didn't even see your tweet. What was yours?
No, you saw mine earlier. It was the... Let me pull it up.
Did I?
Who cares if your neural link notifies your iPhone about the wrong thing, which gets you loaded onto Google smart boxcars and sent to a JP Morgan Chase-sponsored labor camp? They're private companies, bro.
Yeah, that was a pretty good one. Did I retweet that? I meant to. I don't think I did, actually. I need to.
50-something right now. I'm a little pissed about that. But
the long-form version that you sent to the group chat was even better. That was great. I screenshotted that.
Dude, I wish I could green text on Twitter because I wanted to post that full thing. But, you know, fucking character limits. Thanks, Jack, you jackass. But I'm a little excited for when we get rounded up. Region 4 is going to be fucking
Region
killer.
4 is going to be lit.
Dude, there's so many good people going. I feel bad for the people that are like, oh, I'm Region 1, I'm Region 6.
Yeah,
like, we gotta get Stratty and Aiden.
First of all, yeah.
We gotta get...
But also, yeah, we do need Stratty and Aiden.
From the inferior region. Yeah, it's like they're going to be missing the entire fucking party. Like, it is going to be... And, dude, imagine, like, we're going to be able to do... It's not going to be podcasting, but we're going to have, like, live shows for everybody in the FEMA camp to listen to. It's going to be... It's going to be like the old colleges in Athens, where, like, you'd have a couple of people sitting in a circle and then everybody's listening to them discuss.
Wow, that's a bold comparison.
I think I'm a little smarter than Socrates, not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, I mean, he was a lightweight, so we're all heavyweights here.
He was, and Plato was a fucking, like, he didn't even make it into the weigh-in. So Aristotle, I think he can hang with us, but the rest of them
already can hang. Yeah. What else were we gonna talk about? Oh yeah, who else is in our FEMA region? Yeah. We've got so many. Neocon, or the artist formerly known as Neocon Remover.
Yeah, Yankee Remover now. So we got Bert. Ace on a regular basis, but he's up in Maine right now. So the roundup happens. He's going to Region 1.
Yeah.
So he's going to be with Bird up there. But
he's got to get back down here. Bring Bird with him.
Yeah, we'll try to get him down here. We got Pete Quinones, Tom Woods, Pat Watson, Lee from N Block. We got a shit ton of people, even more. And we got some friends of ours also.
If we can get Carr Kempit. Also from Timeline Earth. He's in Texas right now, but he got family. He used to live in North Carolina. We can get him to visit home right when the roundup happens. We could get him in the camp too.
Ooh, dude, you're right. If we could just moose all the TLE hosts together into Region 4, that would be powerful.
Ooh.
But man, who else do we? I'm pissed that Cotton is Region 6.
I'm gonna miss Cotton. Yeah. Although he'd probably kill all of us in our sleep in the Region 4 camp. He'd get tired of us eventually and just go off one night. He'd get too drunk and just go on a mass murdering spree.
And then we got a couple people from the inner circle to also... It's Region 4. Oh, Jared and Anna. It's going to be fucking... Well, if Jared doesn't get red flagged before that.
Oh, yeah.
But it's going to be lit, man. Region 4 is where the party is. If you're in any of these other weak-ass regions, move to the south before Biden rounds us up. Because, like, the Stasi are coming. It's going to happen. So you might as well be in good hands when you do get rounded up.
Or if you don't like us, stay as far away as possible.
Who doesn't like us? We're amazing.
Dude, I mean...
We're like the best podcasters in the game.
Also another bold claim, although slightly less bold. Well, you know what? We could do like a whole podcasting tournament if we get sent to Region 4, because all the other big ones will be there anyway, or at least representatives from them.
Yeah, but dude, we're going to have to go up against Pete Quinones? That's going to be tough.
That is tough, yeah. He's the number 1 seed, easily.
Maybe we could like trade him cigarettes so he joins our podcast and we just merge.
Trade him cigarettes. That's well, we need Stratty here for that. So
Stratty can't even legally buy cigarettes right now. I'm the only one that can.
That's a good point. I don't think we'll be too worried about legally buying them by the time we get to the FEMA camp, though. Something tells me that's going to be down low on the list of priorities.
I'm going to be more worried about getting my nicotine fix. Oh, dude, actually, to be nerdy for a second, it's actually one of my favorite pieces written by a mainstream economist was that dude who ended up in a prisoner of war camp during World War II. And he saw a whole economy spring up around cigarettes as a hard currency.
Oh, yeah.
That's an interesting piece. But
you can inflate that one, but it requires work to do so.
You can.
It's not entirely counterfeitable.
That's what's interesting about it. That like name brand cigarettes were like the gold and hand rolled ones were silver because they could be either over or under. It was a whole like they had a whole there was basically like a stock market for cigarettes in that labor camp. So it was fucking weird. That's gonna be a Region 4, man. We're gonna be trading cigarettes and blowjobs. It's like prison.
Short squeeze on hand rolled cigarette.
Short squeeze on hand jobs.
Oh, I hope not. Unless I'm bought in already. But
you're bought in on hand jobs. You have a shit ton of IOUs.
I'm a shareholder.
Wall Street bets, but hand jobs in FEMA camps.
Yeah.
Oh, but fucking hell, man. What's really going to get us rounded up, though, is something that has been unsettling me this week. You said you're not too familiar with it, but have you seen anything about the House Resolution 127?
I've seen a little bit about it. I know sort of what it includes, but I haven't read anything from a source that I trust on it.
It is bad. Like, what do you know about it?
I know it includes, or I've seen, I actually haven't verified any of this, so I've heard that it includes some bans on certain capacity magazines. I don't know what exactly that capacity is. Tighter handgun restrictions is one thing I saw. I really don't know a whole lot. Fill me in on the details. Just give it to me. Lay it out.
Yeah, so if that were those are included, but if those were the only things, I wouldn't be worrying too much about this. But this thing...
Insurance requirements for every purchase. I remember seeing that.
Yes, yeah. That's one of them. It is jam-packed with shit. Now, this is currently in committee. It has not left committee yet. But it is in the House Judiciary Committee, which is run by the Democrats right now, about 24-16. And Republicans are about as useful as a hooker in church for defending gun rights. So, yeah, not too hopeful about it not getting out of committee. And it was proposed by one of my favorite Democrats, Sheila Jackson. Do you remember a clip of a congresswoman saying that she picked up an AR and it was as heavy as 10 boxes?
Yes, is that her?
That is her.
Excellent.
Good old 10 boxes Sheila. And she put forward possibly the worst fucking gun control bill I have ever seen in the United States. It is worse than the 1994 assault weapons ban.
I was about to say, that was a pretty low point. It's worse than that?
It is so much worse than that. Because that was just a ban on sales for certain guns based off certain aesthetics. Which is, every reason to ban a gun is stupid, but that is one of the dumbest reasons. Even from like a tyrant perspective. You're not achieving anything really with it. Look at the fucking Soviets fighting the Nazis. What were they armed with? Basically, some of the worst guns ever produced by the Soviet Union. That's going to piss some people off.
The right people.
But this thing, the long and short of it, is this bill not only bans guns based off certain characteristics, it also not only requires insurance, it not only bans certain capacity magazines, it requires every gun owner to have insurance, period. It requires a national gun registry.
Oh, that's the worst part.
And licensing. So not only do you have to register your guns, you have to get licensed and get a psychiatric evaluation in order to buy guns.
I'm just going to go ahead and assume that I'm never going to be able to A, fly on a plane ever again, or B, purchase a firearm.
Yeah, I haven't flown on a plane in a good 3 years, so I don't know what's going to happen the next time I go to the airport.
It's been almost as long for me, so yeah, it'll be fun to figure out if they got my name on some list somewhere. Find out the hard way.
I'm not looking forward to that.
I can only imagine. My parents are going to be so pissed because I know it'll be a family vacation or something.
It will be. You're going to get taken to the back room. They're going to shove a hand up your ass looking for bombs.
We'll be like half an hour from getting on our flight, and they're going to be like, nah, you're on the no-fly list. And we're going to have to figure out something else out. Oh, boy.
But, so you have to get a psychiatric evaluation. And there are 2 licenses. There's one for general firearm ownership, and then there's another one for a different kind of firearm ownership. I have to go through the bill real quick and look for which one it is. And there's the registry is public information. If you're in the database of gun owners, anybody in the country can look it up and see if you're on there. Now, how does that sound, given the things transpiring over the last month?
Anyone from any country can...
It is public information. It is a public database of gun owners. It's not even private.
What's the rationale behind that? They're like, walk me through it. I don't even get what they're trying to do with that.
The rationale for that, I imagine, would be, well, we need to have public accountability for gun owners. So if you are licensed, then it should be public information that you are licensed. And then one of the most egregious things in here is that if the licensing were to take place, there is no grandfather clause. So if you were a gun owner before this law, that doesn't mean you get to keep your guns. If you fail that licensing test and you fail that psychiatric evaluation, you are looking at 10 to 20 years in a federal prison for violating this law.
That is, it's pretty easy to see who the real criminals are here, right?
Yeah. 10 to 20 years. The average sentence for rape is 9 years.
Well, then they don't want to lock up other politicians forever,
yeah.
So. Or cops,
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. The amount of headlines where it's like, cop raped handcuffed 14-year-old in his back seat is now on paid leave. Oh, thanks.
But no, that's it. The headlines never say that, though. That's what you read from them because we know what it actually means. But the headlines are always, police officer had non-consensual sexual encounter with underage detained person. Yeah. So, he raped a 14-year-old. What? So it's always the media covering because, they're in bed with each other. What do you think the media gets all their information from to do crime reporting?
Are they ever going to fuck up that relationship?
Exactly. No. So it's always non-consensual sexual contact with underage detained person or something like that. Something stupid.
But Section 1, short title. The act may be cited as the Sabika Sheikh Firearm Licensing and Registration Act. So, as usual, politicians are using a dead child who died in some mass shooting in Dallas, for which I do not give a flying fuck about. Let's get that right out the gate. I do not care about your dead children, and neither do these politicians, but at least I'm honest about it.
Ooh, that's a good point. That's a good way to put that.
So this was a teenager that died in a mass shooting in Dallas at some point, I think last year or the year before. I don't know. I can't keep up with these fucking mass shootings because it's all media bullshit anyway. So
half of them aren't real anyway, so.
Yeah. It's like 2 people got shot. Oh my God, a mass shooting. When will we ever do anything about these white men that own guns? So, Section 2. Licensing of firearms and ammunition possession, registration of firearms. The United States Code is amended by adding at the end the following: licensing of firearm and ammunition possession, registration of firearms. In general.
And ammunition? Hold on, I missed that one.
Yes, there's ammunition licensure too.
Oh my God.
In general, the Attorney General, through the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, everyone's favorite bureau, shall establish a system for licensing the possession of firearms or ammunition in the United States and for the registration with the Bureau of each firearm present in the United States. Required information. Under the firearm registration, the owner of a firearm shall transmit to the Bureau the make, model, and serial number of the firearm, the identity of the owner of the firearm, the date the firearm was acquired by the owner, and where the firearm is or will be stored. So, if you have a rifle that you bought before this, and you have to go and register it, you're not keeping that because no one is going to fucking remember the day they bought their gun, especially your average American that owns like 20 of them.
And notice the scope creep of this law, how it sets up future ones. The requirement to tell you where you store it is because they intend to pass further laws that restrict where you can store your gun. Because what's next is you must store it in a safe, locked at all times behind 4 doors and 3 walls or something stupid, And so it's going to be making it's soft disarmament is all it is. But it's easy to see how they're setting up the next ones and the next ones and the next ones, and
then it continues.
Before you continue, can I ask something?
Yeah, sure.
Has the NRA come out in support of this bill yet? Or, well, no, I guess a Democrat brought it up. So
Yeah,
if Dan Crenshaw co-sponsors it, then they'll get on board, I guess.
Well, Sheila is a congresswoman from Texas, so Crenshaw's going to get his greedy eye on this one of these days.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, man, why couldn't he lose both
Eye,
eyes?
singular.
How the fuck did that bullet go through one eye and not his brain?
Somebody should have brought a sign to the Capitol riot that said we're coming for his second eye or something like that. So more creative than I am, but
we're really not flying anytime soon.
It's just a hypothetical. Take it.
Yeah, it would have been funny if someone did.
Dan
Not that we
Crenshaw's-
endorse it.
We want Dan Crenshaw's fermented spider eye in Minecraft, of course.
Just like it would have been funny if hypothetically AOC actually was in the Capitol that day, and it wasn't a Capitol police officer that didn't go into her office, but did, and actually killed her. That would have been hypothetically funny if that would have happened. Not that I wanted to.
And beneficial, yeah.
Oh, wait, actually, no, I wish that did happen. No hypotheticals. Anyway, this is a race to the bottom to see how fast I can get rated.
Luckily, we're not popular enough of a podcast yet to get just deleted by Spotify or by a FBI raid. So,
yeah, give it 2 more years. Let's see, once we hit like 1,000 listeners, then they might start noticing us. And then it continues. And a notice specifying the identity of any person to whom and any period of time during which the firearm will be loaned to the person. So, not only do I have to completely register myself if I am to own a firearm, if I am to even give it to you for a day, I have to notify the proper authorities that you are the one who will be receiving it, and they have to approve of this.
So they're really just checking off all the boxes. I'm just thinking about like why each one of these is provided, kind of beyond the obvious. And this one, it seems clear, is because you could just write the owner as literally anybody, and then loan it to somebody. Like the actual owner, the person who intends to use the gun, would be in possession of it the whole time, but then write someone else as the owner, someone who's not really at risk of getting raided, for example, and that would be a loophole. They've really covered that too. So that's that's actually impressive how much they thought about this in a sick and twisted sort of way.
They were hard at work with this one. Deadline for supplying information. In the case of firearm acquired before the effective date of this section, within 3 months after the effective date of this section. In the case of a firearm acquired on or after the effective date, on the date of the owners acquire the firearm. So that's a nice little bit of legalese, but you have 3 months if you owned a firearm before this to either get rid of it or register it. So database.
What are the penalties again if you don't register it within the 3 months?
Pretty much every punishment in this is 10 to 20 in a federal penitentiary.
That is ridiculous.
Yes. Which, I mean, it could be worse.
So hold on. This is, I just thought of something. So you're saying that if they don't register it, that means the people who they know have guns, but they're not entirely sure of all the details on them. They don't know necessarily what they have. They just know enough to know that they're not complying. Mm-hmm. Those are the ones they have to go raid in order to take to jail. Am I getting this straight? That seems safe.
Oh, this is incredibly safe, but this is...
I wish all cops a very 3 a.m. raid gone wrong.
An inverse Duncan Lemp.
Oh my god, yeah. That's a good way of putting it. I wish all cops a very Duncan Lemp if he was awake.
But yeah, this is... I mean, what they're gunning for here, pun intended, is that there will be the people who will comply, and they will know when the time comes who they are, where they are, and what they own, so they can come and take them away to the FEMA camp. Or Supermax, one of the two, depending on how bad you are. The real naughty ones go to Supermax. But, you know, bright side, if we go to Supermax, we can hang out with Ross Ulbricht, so it's not all bad.
Oh, hell yeah. And, what's his name? If he talks to anybody, I think they might have him in isolation still, but,
Ted K?
Yeah, Teddy. Uncle Ted.
Yeah.
Uncle Ted.
Shit, man. Dude, we could hang out with Ross and Uncle Ted? Fuck FEMA Camp 4. I'm going to ATX Florence. Holy shit.
Actually, there's a route by which I could get into that.
What's that? Blow up a courthouse in Minecraft?
Well, that'd be the speed run. But I do.
Any percent ATX Florence speed run.
Any percent. I do own actually a firearm in my name. I've never shot it. It's an old I don't know if it's technically an antique or not, but basically it hasn't been fired in my lifetime. I can tell you that. Old shotgun passed down to me from my great-great-grandfather.
That is the second license they have in there. There's a separate license for owning and displaying antique firearms.
Oh, okay.
So you still get 10 to 20 in a federal penitentiary.
Yeah, I was about to say, I could still just not register it and see what they do to me.
At least federal penitentiary, ask anyone who's in the prison system, they'd rather go to a Fed than to the state prisons, because the state prison is where the real awful shit happens.
Yeah. I actually don't know.
That's where they turn off the AC in the summer and the heat in the winter, and where they burn you with scalding showers and put you to work. Federal is like you sit around, work out, and watch TV all day.
Right, yeah. I'm sure Ted K loves that. I bet you he doesn't watch much TV. I actually wonder, that'd be a fun challenge for the feds if they could track that down to me. Because, like, those shotguns, there's no way they have any trace of those shotguns. Like, they've been in the family for so long. They were bought long before any Brady background checks or BS like that. So, good luck and have fun.
Man, how far we fucking fallen. Where you used to be able to buy an M2 Browning 50 cal in a Sears magazine and have it shipped to your door with no background checks and no waiting period other than delivery.
We should be able to ship those to us from Amazon now.
Well, no, you can only get it shipped to you if you're in a cartel or a terrorist group.
Dude, straight up, if I had a slightly different set of ethics, like a more different moral code, joining a cartel would be so cool. Like, absolutely the career move. They're some of the coolest organizations on earth, easily, except for when they do all the, horrible shit to people.
They're cool, like the 1 minute of a day where they're not fucking over innocent civilians and brutally massacring them.
I could go join a right-wing paramilitary in Colombia. Learning about those right now.
You could, dude.
Go fight communists.
Yeah, dude, you could be the person that killed the union leader.
Yeah, Yeah, that'd be so much fun. Did you know that?
80% speed run to ATX Florence.
We're getting set up right now. This is the early game. Did you know that the FARC and the ELN, the two main communist guerrilla groups in Colombia, don't pay their members? They just rely on like devotion to the cause and extremely strict disciplinary measures to keep them in line. But the paramilitaries pay salaries and everything, and you can get bonuses based on performance and stuff like that. Like, I'm telling you, it's not a bad career choice if you're willing to put in the work,
man.
Do the time.
Color me surprised that the communist revolutionary groups are
communists.
just bougie progs.
No, actually, these people are fucking real. I wouldn't mess with the FARC. No way. It's the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, for those who don't know. That I wouldn't mess with them. No, they're real. They are not bougie progs.
Dude, I cannot fucking wait until we are sitting in a trial for 10 to 20 for violating the gun laws, and they just read back our podcast
clips.
transcripts to us. I'll be on the stand, and I'll be like, yes, I did say that. Please do send me to Florence, okay? I want to say hi to my heroes. I don't want to get ass raped in some federal penitentiary. Send me there.
Yeah, exactly. Like
it hurts after wiping. I cannot handle a real prison. Send
is
me
it possible to get deported, like reverse deported, get kicked out of the country? But I mean, without pulling a whole Edward Snowden.
I mean, for me, sure. I could get a citizenship in like 3 different countries right now.
Oh, that's true. You're set.
Yeah, dude. They could deport me to a European prison. How fucking cozy would that be?
I don't know. Something like. It depends where in Europe you're talking about. Like Eastern European prisons, I would not want to go there.
Western Europe, the ones where they like let you leave for the day on good
Anything
behavior.
that ends in an Akia or an Istan is not a place I want to go to prison. So.
No, I'm not going to prison in Uzbekistan or Russia. I don't want to say hi to Alexei Navalny.
Oh yeah, dude, did you see this was crazy. I watched a video of like his sentencing. They had him in a straight up glass cage, like like a human-sized aquarium almost, but obviously without the water. It was like I don't understand why they have to lock him up. No, the water comes when the cameras turn off. But like I don't know why that's what they decide to keep him in during the court trial. Like, I mean, you couldn't just handcuff him. I think he was handcuffed inside the glass thing. No, actually, he wasn't.
No, because he was drawing hearts to his family on.
Right? Yeah, that's what I saw. I was just about to say. So he wasn't handcuffed. Like, wouldn't it just been easier to put handcuffs on him and sit him down in a chair? Instead, they had to like wheel in a whole glass case for him to stand in.
It's about sending a message.
Yeah.
It's that.
It's not about
if you cross Putin.
Sending a message.
If you cross Putin, he is going to put you in a fucking aquarium and then sentence you to 3.5 years in a fucking Russian prison. Like, is that really the price you want to pay?
Yeah, that's a good point.
No, but dude, like over in Norway, they let murderers out for the day because they're on good behavior, like literally out of the prison, and they expect them to come back. In a Norwegian prison, they let them all out of their cells. Yes, they come back because it's so... Dude, the guy who shot up the summer camp in Oslo...
No way.
He has a fucking video game he lives... It looks like a college dorm room, not a prison cell.
He's got a PS5 and people in the United States can't even get one.
He, like, complained. He went to court against the Norwegian government because he was like, it's not luxurious enough. And he got satellite television, air conditioning, a fucking carpet. It's insane. European prisons. I'm for prison abolition, but if we're going to have them, shouldn't they at least be a punishment for somebody that shot 60 children?
That is ridiculous. Yeah. Okay. Maybe, European prisons are the move. If I'm not joining a right-wing paramilitary in Colombia, I'm going to European prison. Those are my two career choices right now.
Yeah, dude. In the last episode, someone asked us, like, what are our careers looking like? Right-wing death squads or
there's my
prison?
answer. Final answer.
Man, but yeah. Anyway, so the database. This is where it really starts getting scary. The Attorney General shall establish and maintain a database of all firearms registered pursuant to the subsection. Access. The Attorney General shall make the contents of the database accessible to all members of the public, all federal, state, and local law enforcement authorities, all branches of the United States Armed Forces, and all state and local governments as defined by the Bureau. So notice, they put the public first. Anybody can go online to, I'm sure it's going to have a website, and access it even without a Freedom of Information file. And then all federal, state, and local law enforcement authorities will know it, and all branches of the United States Armed Forces and all state and local governments. So depending on your threat level, they could send in the fucking Navy SEALs to neutralize you.
I actually don't think they could, because you can't deploy military forces on U.S. soil unless there's some exceptions, and you can get like a special. I don't know if Congress has to approve it or a certain committee or something like that. But in general, you can't deploy military forces on U.S. soil. They could send the CIA to get you, though. CIA is technically civilian.
That is something I want to get into later about the direction of everything and how pretty much this is a meaningless distinction at this point. But licensing system requirements. Except as otherwise provided in the subsection, the Attorney General shall issue to an individual a license to possess a firearm and ammunition if the individual has attained 21 years of age, after applying for the license, undergoes a criminal background check conducted by the National Instant Crime Background Check System, established under section blah blah of the Brady Violence Protection Act. Fuck Brady. Fucking hell. And that was such a stupid group. Have you ever seen like their old advertisements for gun crime?
No.
They were retarded.
Wait, for gun crime?
Well,
they advocated for gun crime. Yeah, I was about to say that's all kind of based.
They practically do, but not the right kind.
Oh, I see.
Like the disarm you and allow violent thugs to shoot you in your sleep.
That kind of gun crime.
And the check does not indicate the possession of a firearm by the individual that would violate subsection blah blah blah. I fucking hate legalese.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if you have to read this whole bill, but
no, but just the juicy parts.
Can we talk about? Okay, sure. Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead. Go on before I say something.
Here's the psych evaluation. And who is going to determine what is psychologically viable? That is also really fucking scary that the federal government is just going to suddenly decide that, yeah, for all your rights, we stripped you of all of them, but we'll give them back to you if we deem you psychologically stable.
Wait, does it not specify who you had to get the psychological evaluation from?
Nope, it is going to be paragraph 2. So, and the evaluation design, it is very vague about the psychological evaluation. So they will set the standards for this arbitrarily because it is not listed here.
I'm sure it just punts the responsibility to the ATF to do that. Like, it just outlines it in the bill and then says the ATF shall determine, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, well, if you follow how the ATF makes regulation, that doesn't give me any hope.
By pulling it out of their ass and
Yeah.
licking it and then pasting it on a window?
Yeah. One day they're like, okay, well, this is psychologically stable. And the next day they're like, actually, never mind. We're going to revoke all your licenses.
Yeah, that's exactly what I expect to happen.
And 3, successfully completes a training course certified by the Attorney General in the use, safety, and storage of firearms that includes at least 24 hours of training and demonstrates that on issuance of the license, the individual will have in effect an insurance policy issued under the subsection. So you need to get training and insurance, psychological evaluation, and you have to pass a background check. And then they have the antique firearm display license. Yeah.
Keep going. I'm just processing this still. This is a lot.
And then they get into what is going to be banned. Military-style weapons. The Attorney General shall issue an individual license to own and possess a military-style weapon if the individual is the holder of a license issued under subparagraph A, and after applying for a license under the subparagraph, successfully completes the training course certified by the Attorney General in the use, safety, and storage of the weapon that includes at least 24 hours of training in live fire training.
24 hours?
Psychological evaluations, blah, blah. Yes. So you're not going to be able to sit in like a 2-hour class in your local gun shop and then get your license. You're going to have to take time out of your busy schedule and your family life and all that to go through a total of 24 hours of training.
And also, you don't have to read off the specifics if they're there, but does it define what a military-style rifle is in like an appendix or a separate paragraph?
Yes,
okay.
It does eventually go into that. So I'll get into that. But here, I have D of this section. As part of the psychological evaluation, the licensed psychologist interviewed any spouse of the individual, any former spouse of the individual, and at least 2 other persons who are a member of the family of or an associate of the individual to further determine the state of mental, emotional, and relational stability of the individual in relation to firearms. So not only do you need to pass your psychological evaluation, you need a shit ton of people to vouch for you that you are mentally stable. And they'll even interview your ex-wife or your ex-husband who might be a vindictive piece of shit and want to screw you over. I cannot possibly see how that will be abused.
Nope. Yeah, no one will lie about you. No one would ever... I mean, what ex-wife would ever want to prevent you from just peacefully owning a firearm? No conflict of interest there. Also, that's a lot of people to interview. It's a lot of work for whoever's doing this psychological evaluation, which means it's going to be expensive because they're going to charge a lot.
Yeah, they are setting as many barriers to entry as they can to gun ownership. Here's revocation of license. A license issued under the subsection to an individual who is or becomes prohibited by federal or state law from possessing a firearm is hereby revoked. Such an individual shall immediately return the license and surrender all firearms and ammunition owned or possessed by the individual to the Attorney General. Renewal? No, that's boring. Let's see, firearm insurance. Well, here we go. Finally, we get to military-style weapon defined. The term military-style weapon means any of the firearms or copies or duplicates of the firearms in any caliber known as Norinco, Mitchell, which the AK guy covered this, and he found out that Mitchell was an AK company in the 80s that imported from like the Eastern Bloc and then just doesn't exist anymore. So that's a very obscure gun brand to bring up. Or Polytechnologies Automat Kalashnikovs, all models. Action Arms Israeli Military Industries Uzi and Galil. Beretta AR-70, Colt AR-15, Fabrique Nationale FN-FAL, FN-LAR, and FNC. Couple ones that I don't know specifically what model this is. The Steyr AUG, the Intratec Tech 9, Tech DC-9, Tech 22. Revolving cylinder shotguns such as or similar to the Street Sweeper and Striker 12. A semi-automatic rifle that has an ability to accept a detachable magazine and has at least 2 of a folding or telescoping stock. A pistol grip that protrudes conspicuously beneath the action of the weapon, a bayonet mount, a flash suppressor or threaded barrel designed to accommodate a flash suppressor, and a grenade launcher. I don't know what civilians can own grenade launchers without going already through federal licensing.
Yeah, that seems redundant, but I guess that's kind of the point, isn't it?
Yeah. A semi-automatic pistol that has an ability to accept a detachable magazine and has at least 2 of an ammunition magazine that attaches to the pistol outside of the grip. That, I guess revolvers? Yeah, semi-automatic revolvers. A threaded barrel capable of accepting a barrel extender. I don't think that is a thing. I'm pretty well versed in guns, and I don't know of barrel extenders. Usually people just buy a gun with a shorter or longer barrel.
I mean, you can also just swap out the barrel, but that's not a barrel extender. That's just a different barrel.
Yeah. A flash suppressor, forward hand grip, or silencer. Forward hand grips don't go on the threaded barrel. A shroud that is attached to or partially or completely encircles the barrel and permits the shooter to hold a firearm with a non-trigger hand without being burnt. So that is pretty much every firearm.
Yeah, this is insane.
Manufactured weight of 50 ounces or more when the pistol is unloaded. I'm terrible with ounces.
Yeah, that's one of the things I'd read about. That's really obscure for some reason. That's what I had heard of. That is one of the things I'd already heard.
A semi-automatic version of an automatic firearm, and a semi-automatic shotgun that has at least 2 of folding stock, pistol grip, fixed magazine, and an ability to accept a detached magazine. So your fixed magazine has more than 5 rounds, or your gun has a detached magazine, you cannot have your shotgun. Clerical amendment, blah, blah, prohibitions, penalties. And penalties is where it gets fun. It shall be unlawful for a person to possess a firearm or ammunition unless the person is carrying a valid license. In the case of a firearm owned by the person, the firearm is registered to the person. Or in the case of a firearm owned by another person, the firearm blah, 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 blah. Need to notify the Attorney General. Unlawful transfer. Unlawful for holding. You need the insurance, blah, blah. Whoever knowingly violates Section 922AA shall be fined not less than $75,000 and not more than $150,000, imprisoned not less than 15 years and not more than 25 years. Whoever knowingly violates Section 922BB1 shall be fined not less than $50,000 and not more than $75,000, imprisoned not less than 10 years and not more than 15 years. Whoever knowingly violates Section 922BB shall be fined not less than $30,000 and not more than $50,000, imprisoned not less than 5 years and not more than 10 years, or both. Whoever knowingly blah blah, and it just keeps going. That the price in years go down, but let's see. Whoever knowingly violates Section blah blah shall be fined not less than $75,000 and not more than $100,000, imprisoned not less than 15 years and not more than 25 years, or both. Except that if the transferee of the firearm possess or use the firearm during or in relation to a crime, an unintentional shooting, or suicide, the transferor shall be fined not less than $100,000 and not more than $150,000, imprisoned not less than 25 years and not more than 40 years. So, yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the end of the bill. So, yeah, you are looking at anywhere between 5 to 40 years for violating the rules set by this. 5 to 40. And anywhere between $5,000 to $150,000 in fines.
This is just a ploy. I mean, obviously, I'm not even stating anything controversial. It's obviously just a ploy to indirectly disarm, but mostly bankrupt and jail any gun owner in the United States. Right? Yeah. That's how I read it. Okay.
Yeah, this is a strategy to, number one.
Also, while you were reading that, I did look up if you can find out if you're on the no-fly list, and apparently it's not a public list, unfortunately.
Oh, damn it.
There was a scam site for it, but I didn't type my name in that. I wasn't sure.
We got to go trial by fire.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
But this is a ploy to, number one, find the people that are dumb enough to actually register their shit, and they're going to be easily picked off. 2, for anybody that does not comply, which will be a lot of people, because as disheartened as I am with the American populace after 2020, I still feel like this is a line that is very hard for a lot of gun owners to cross. Because, like, sure, wearing a mask, staying in your home, whatever, but, like, guns are in the bloodline of Americans more than anything else. So, I think there's going to be a lot of people, maybe not all of them, but there's going to be a lot of people that do not comply with this. So, this is going to be something where this is going to tack on fines and years to your sentence for another crime you've committed. Because then they'll search your house and they'll find that you have unregistered guns, and boom, your life in prison. And then 3, this is also going to gut gun manufacturers. So anyone that doesn't comply, basically you're going to be looking at the gun market shrinking drastically. And the only ones to stay afloat are those that really either comply with all these insane restrictions or have government contracts. So they're going to kill the gun industry too with this bill. So they're effectively trying to erase American gun culture by killing a manufacturer, picking off the people that comply, and picking off the people that don't comply. They will effectively, within 2 generations, basically, get rid of gun ownership in the United States and turn this into Europe, where if you want to own a gun, you have to go through insane hoops in order to even take it to the range for a day. And this is a year ago. If you had told me that this bill was circulating in Congress, I would have been hard-pressed to say that this would even make it out of committee, even if the committee was run by Democrats, just because of how insane this bill is and how many criminals it would create would be even too much for people that love to make criminals for free labor. But after everything that's transpired just in the last month alone, I mean, it's so hard to not see this going hand in hand with all the domestic terrorism talk that they've been spewing out over the last month. They're calling the GameStop shit terrorism.
Everything's actually Carr on the TLE podcast episode that came out just yesterday actually makes a pretty good case for calling it terrorism. Not the same way they are, but like
I was listening to that today.
Yeah, I listened to it.
Like his definition makes sense. But...
I looked insane on my run this morning because I just started laughing at one point. I don't even remember what they said. Yeah, dude, I was already past to the John Weaver portion by the time I started running.
That episode was so
I listened to some of it last night. It was good, yeah.
Did you get to Aaron taking his paid time off?
Yes, I did. I was on the track when that happened. I was like in the middle of a 400 listening to Bert and Aaron argue about paid time off.
That was fucking. But yeah, like. It can be, I can see entirely how it would be classified as terrorism reasonably. But they're linking this to everything that happened on January 6th. And they're like calling these people Trump supporters. They're Redditors. They're probably Bernie bros that like Robin Hood.
That's like the definition of woke bougie progs, right?
Yeah.
It's soft capitalist progs, yeah.
Yeah, they're Redditors. They have nothing to do with the Trump movement. But they're linking everything back to this. And they have gotten this ball rolling where they're pushing so much shit through that I don't know if this is going to pass. I cannot tell our dear listeners that I can say with certainty that this is going to pass and try to find some solutions out of this. Obviously, try to find some solutions because this is the worst case scenario right now for anybody that owns a gun or wants to own a gun. This is going to be hell on earth. But I can't say with certainty that this is not going to go through because this works so perfectly with the narrative that they've been pushing for the last month and that they're going to keep pushing for the next 4 years. They're going to milk the 6th harder than they milked Charlottesville.
Oh,
they're going to milk it harder than they milked 9/11, which is insane.
9/11, that's a rival, but Charlottesville, they're definitely going to milk it harder than that.
Yeah, but 9/11 was foreign terrorists, and that 9/11 had to set the stage for the terrorism narrative in the United States. Because even after Oklahoma City and other attempted attacks on the World Trade Center and all that, people still didn't really care. But after 9/11, terrorism really came home. And people started thinking this was a real threat, even though this was an anomaly that probably was, either let it happen or made it happen, but there's no other alternative. And now, they're bringing it home. Every bad government policy comes home. And they're bringing all this domestic terror shit to roost. It's like the 90s all over again, where they were infiltrating militias and small right-wing groups and all that, and they killed it with infiltration. But now, people didn't know about it was Operation Patriot something. Not the Patriot Act, but it was Patriot something. And that's where they infiltrated all the right-wing groups and the militia groups. But now this is going to be in the public eye, and this is going to get public support because all they have to say is, well, we're going to use this to make sure we don't have any incidents like the insurrection again. We're going to make sure that there are no more insurrectionists, and we're going to declaw them, and we're going to make this a safe place for democracy in America. Meanwhile, they're going to keep pushing the boot harder down our necks, and I just can't see how this doesn't go perfectly with everything they've been talking about. How they're cracking down on communications. Look how all of a sudden they care about ham radio again. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't. Have they been cracking down on that?
Yeah, the FCC is starting to actually care about ham radio again because people are programming Baofangs illegally because you need a license to operate even a fucking Baofeng handheld ham radio. They're going to start cracking down on that because once everybody gets kicked off of even a Telegram, what do you do to coordinate? You go to radio. You go to shortwave radio.
I mean, it reminds me, though, of what Cody Wilson said. I said 2010, I think. Maybe it was 2012. I don't know. Almost a decade ago now, he said, I'm going to make them kill your internet. And he's going to make them kill the radio waves. Shut down the towers, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, 1 or 2 months ago, Obama came out and straight up said that the internet is the biggest threat to democracy.
I saw that, yeah.
So, what are we getting to? That they're cracking down on communications. They're cracking down on any loopholes.
Internet. I was thinking about that. I agree with him, actually, but I think it's a good thing.
And they're cracking down now that this shit with Wall Street Bets showed the glaring problems with the financial institutions. They're going to crack down on any holes in the financial institutions and make sure that us little guys can never do what they do again. They're cracking down on guns. They are cracking down on every avenue someone has to rebel against the system. And they are making it so that they can pick off any dissidents. And libertarians, anarchists, everybody listening to this, if you are so stupid that you think this is going to stop at conservatives, then we're not next. We're not who they're targeting now. We're not next, but we're on their list. John Brennan said it himself this month. Or he put libertarians on the list with conservatives and populists and Antifa and all that. He said libertarians. We are on that list. So we might not be the next ones. They're probably going to come for the left next. They're going to come for the people that are not part of the neoliberal establishment. But they're cleaning up house. And we're coming at some point. Like, they're coming for us. We're on that list. We're in line. And they are cracking down very fucking hard. So if you are not shaking in your boots right now, if you're just sitting here laughing because their target is conservatives, then you are a fucking idiot. And you don't realize the storm that is coming and how this is going to affect all of us. Like, if you were one of those people that were laughing because they were coming after conservatives after the insurrection, quote unquote, there's no hope for you. This does not bode well, because even if this doesn't pass now, Sheila Jackson is going to try it again next year, and next year, and next year, and next year. And how long you're going to put off preparing for this? How long
eventually a Republican's going to vote for it. If progressives just do something long enough, then conservatives eventually adopt it. And so Dan Crenshaw's my bet, but maybe his successor, the next Dan Crenshaw, so figuratively speaking.
At what point in the next 10 years do you not see this passing?
Oh, you think the United States is going to last another 10 years? I mean,
hey,
I actually don't know. It might. I'm not saying it won't necessarily.
I think it'll last another 10 years. I don't see another 30. But 10? Yeah, I see 10. But so this, at some point...
I just keep going back to what I talked about in the beginning of the White Pill episode. Like, if you were to say hypothetically that the United States would not exist in its current form of political organization in the next 5 to 10 years... what would be our glasnost and perestroika? Yeah, like what would you?
This would be one of them.
I think so.
I think this sort of gun bill, because this is the one that I legitimately think would lead to blood in the streets. Not in mass. I don't think it would kick up the troubles, but I think you would have a lot of people dying in raids and a lot of cops dying in raids.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of the troubles, did you know that Colombia has a period in its history, like from the 50s to 60s, just known as the violence? Like, it's literally just called the violence. La violencia.
I love how casually these other countries name like really rough periods.
Yeah, like 160,000 people died during that period.
This was the violence. With the Irish is like, yeah, it was a little bit of a trouble. But it's not Canadian. What am I doing with an accent? But it's like, it was troublesome. Yeah, some supermarkets got blown up, some trains too. Some people got shot on the street. Yeah, it was the troubles. We got past it. It was our awkward teenage phase. But yeah, it's not going to be the troubles. But this is something that will kick off a lot of violence. And that will be one of the glasnost and perestroikas of the empire of the United States. Like, something like this is messy. It is very fucking messy. And I mean, of course, 3D printing is going to make sure there's a gun in everyone's hands at some point. But the issue is, you will be a martyr for using it in self-defense. Because if you live...
That is the hopeful part about this, is one, actually trying to enforce this bill would just drive so many people apart from the... I mean, we'd see a complete divorce of a large part of the country from the government, like absolutely no connection to it anymore. Like even conservatives who hate the people who are in power right now still kind of respect the institutions less and less, gratefully or thankfully. But this would like probably be the final straw for a lot of them, and some of them have already gotten there. The January 6th events did that for them.
Oh yeah.
So that is one positive aspect of it, and then the other is technology is outpacing what they can outlaw. Because I mean,
it is.
Obviously, we don't want this law to pass, but like 3D printing is really taking over, and it's just outpacing anything they can do. And I mean, the reason that they're going to be able to enforce this if they pass it is because people pass background checks and they have our records. They have the NICS, the NICS system, and so they know like if people bought a firearm and then don't register it under this law. Whereas you can't really do that if you just 3D print a gun. Like they just don't know if you have one or not. So there are definitely ways around this, and it's only going to get easier and easier to engage in those ways to get around it. So that's the good part. Yeah.
No, it is. It in that sense, it is getting easier. But then here's where the problem comes up. If you just want to use guns as a hobby, and you take your 3D printed guns, and there's even 3D printed ammunition being developed now. It's only getting better too. So if you only want to take your guns out to the woods to shoot as a hobby with your buddies that you know also do this, because OPSEC, if you have an illegal firearm, don't go showing it around. Really, if you're going to show it to somebody, make sure you trust them. And you know that this is a person who's not going to turn around and rat you out. But you just like going to the woods and shooting with your buddies, 3D printing is the perfect solution for you. They will never find that. But the issue arises when it comes time to use that gun in self-defense. If you live in an area where your neighbors hear a gunshot and they're going to call the police, you're fucked. Because sure, you saved your life, but best case scenario, you become a Supreme Court case to overturn this law. But worst case, you're looking at 20 to 40 years in federal penitentiary for using an illegal firearm to save your life. So that is a roadblock. That, sure, 3D printing will make sure there's a gun in everyone's hands, but what good is that if there's no reliable way to use it without, effectively ruining their lives in prison? That's the big roadblock, in my opinion. And that's what this law does. That to make sure that even with no grandfathering in, because that was very specific. Every gun law, even the assault weapons ban in 94, had a grandfather clause. Where if you owned it before this, you get to keep it. There is no grandfathering for this bill. So if it passes, everything you own has to be registered and approved. So your 3D printed firearm won't cut it. Because if there was grandfathering, you could print it and then they will never be the wiser. Because there's no way to prove that you didn't have this before the law passed. But they fucked everyone over with that lack of grandfathering, and that is a big problem.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I don't have much more to say about that except, I guess I could say, like, my theories and kind of ideas on strategy have changed significantly over the past year, even though my basic philosophy has not. And now I believe more and more the way we're going to win, if we win. I don't think it's guaranteed. I don't really believe in a deterministic arc of history for the most part. But if we're going to win, the way it's going to happen is not by competing with the state on its own grounds. It's going to be through things that it can't do. That's culture. That's things that are beautiful, things that are fun. Humor is going to win. I mean, the best example of that is, like, look at progressive comedians who are basically state mouthpieces now. They're just not funny. And even people who politically agree with them know they're not funny. And, like, you have to be a complete mindless drone, which, I mean, there are plenty of those. But even the vast majority of people who are not us, obviously, because we are not the vast majority of people, but even the vast majority of people just know that these people aren't funny. So like humor is going to win against the state. So we can't play with them on their own battlegrounds, I think. And so we're going to take more losses like this. Like you said, this bill, if it doesn't pass now, it probably will eventually. And like we're going to lose ground on certain areas like that. But the secondary and tertiary effects are just going to drive more and more people to the things that the state can't touch, which is, I mean, technology is enabling some of that, but it's also just culture, beauty, humor, the things that they've never been able to do, civil society, basically. And so that's, I think our strategy is to embrace those things as much as possible, and also the occasional high profile car bombing.
Yeah.
Just to be sure.
Yeah.
Just, as necessary. Use as necessary. That's the prescription.
Yeah, we don't mean Irish car bombs like
fun.
the drink.
Yeah.
We mean real car bombs.
I mean, like, the American dream, baby. Ryder trucks and everything.
But
that was a psyop,
so. It really was. Did you watch the Carter Report documentary on that?
No, I didn't. I'm just convinced anyway.
Dude, you should. I'm going to send that to you after, because that's a really...
Oh, I know. I know where to find it.
Yeah. But no, it's like Shadowban on YouTube. So
oh, is it? Okay.
It's a little bit of a bitch. So I'll just send you the link so you find it easily. But no, the evidence he lays out, it's like, if you already feel this way, you're going to be like, damn, I was fucking right. But I would like to say that we will not win through using the state. That is just a fact. But we can at least push off the inevitable with organizations like the Firearms Policy Coalition and the Gun Owners of America and the Second Amendment Foundation, because they will at least prolong this with legal battles. They will push this off.
Absolutely.
They're not going to win. They're not going to like fight this away and make sure this never comes back. But those three groups in specific, and mostly the Firearms Policy Coalition, do really good work on making sure this shit stays at bay. And that's the best they can do. And that's also, in some ways, the best we can get right now. Like, the longer we can put this off, the better prepared we can be. So, I'm not some FPC shill. I'm not hired by them. I have no association with them other than I like their memes on Instagram. But
I actually used one of their memes in a presentation in a high school class because I could get away with it. It was my AP Gov class.
They have some pretty fire fucking memes. But like, if you want to, at least while you're 3D printing, because really, like, even though it will be tough to use it, if you want to make sure that you at least have it for the day that they come for your guns and you want something to fight them off with, allegedly, get yourself a 3D printer. An Enter Creality is what, $200 on Amazon?
Yeah, I think that's the sale price, but it normally runs between $200 and $300, and you can get it discounted pretty often.
Yeah, so it's not going to put a dent in your wallet, and you're going to be able to basically never obey another single gun law again pretty easily. But if you want to do something else, if you have some interest in the political arena, like, throw some support towards the FPC, because legal battles are fucking pricey, and they have a lot of them going on at once usually. Like, they're currently about to have a Supreme Court case that would overturn the assault weapons ban in California if they win. So, they have a lot on their plate. They really could use the funds. There are certain websites, like, once ammo prices go down, go to ammo.com. That is a website where it's run by libertarians. Always one of the biggest things we can do, support libertarians. They have, when you make a purchase, you can make a donation with them. And you can have it sent to the Mises Institute. You can have it sent to gun policy groups. You can have it sent to a lot of things. So, like, support libertarians by buying from them and then using that buying to send donations certain ways. Like, we need anything we can get to push this shit off so long that we can eventually win. So that's my 2 cents on that.
That I totally agree. I don't know how to respond to that because I can't say anything more than what you said. I think you worded it better than I could. So off the heavy topics, we've got one more thing to talk about. Just a couple hours before we recorded, actually, before we started recording today. We're recording on Thursday. This will go up tomorrow, so not much delay. Trump announced that he was resigning from the Screen Actors Guild, which is the largest union of actors and actresses in the country.
And it was created by communists.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically a communist front. But,
No, it actually is. It really is. McCarthy was right.
I was about to say it. We said it at the same time. McCarthy was right. Yeah. God, we're on the same wavelength. And he did this because they were about to kick him out anyway. They had I don't know all the details, but basically they were about to kick him out. That suffices. And so he wrote an amazing letter of resignation. It is beautiful. Think of like a Trump tweet, but times 10. Because he can't tweet it. I'm sure he would have just tweeted it, right? If he was still on Twitter. Instead,
but it's so much better.
Actually, now I'm totally in favor of banning him from Twitter if this is the kind of content we get, because it's written as a formal letter, but it reads like a Trump tweet, and it's the presentation
and
of it is
has a stamp on it. Holy shit! From the office, says, of Donald J. Trump.
Okay, I'm gonna read the whole thing out because it begins with the presidential seal at the top, which he's still using. I think he's technically allowed to do that, but it's just funny. It says, "The Office of Donald J. Trump, February 4th, 2021." And it's business format, too, so there's a colon after the greeting. It's Miss Carteris, colon. "I write to you today regarding the so-called disciplinary committee hearing aimed at revoking my union membership. Who cares! Exclamation point. While I'm not familiar with your work, I'm very proud of my work on movies." This is the president of the Screen Actors Guild, by the way. She's like a famous actress or something. I don't know who she is. I don't pay attention to the pedophiles these days. But she's pretty famous as far as I can tell. He says that while I'm not familiar with your work, I'm very proud of my work on movies such as Home Alone 2, Zoolander, and Wall Street Money Never Sleeps, and television shows including The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Saturday Night Live, and, of course, one of the most successful shows in television history, The Apprentice, to name just a few. I've also greatly helped the cable news television business, said to be a dying platform with not much time left until I got involved in politics, close parentheses, and created thousands of jobs at networks such as MSDNC and Fake News CNN, among others. Which brings me to your blatant attempt at free media attention to distract from your dismal record as a union. Your organization has done little for its members and nothing for me, besides collecting dues and promoting dangerous, un-American policies and ideas. See, he knows. As evident by your massive unemployment rates and lawsuits from celebrated actors, who even recorded a video asking, "Why isn't the union fighting for me?" These, however, are policy failures. Your disciplinary failures are even more egregious. I no longer wish to be associated with your union. As such, this letter is to inform you of my immediate resignation from SAG-AFTRA. That's the full acronym for the Screen Actors Guild. You have done nothing for me. Regards, President Donald J. Trump. He signs it as president.
We don't deserve him.
It's so good. This is one of the best written letters I've ever seen. I'm going to have to... I should turn this... Unfortunately, I'm taking a business and professional communications class this semester. I want to turn in this letter for an assignment. And I will, obviously I'll get a 0 on it for plagiarism. I want to see if he actually grades it, though. Guys, this is fucking amazing.
Oh, God. Okay, so I looked her up. Gabrielle Ann Carteris, she was in Beverly Hills 90210, so she is relevant. But if you look her up, one of the top search questions is Gabrielle Carteris feet.
Oh, God. Was she...
maybe...
Was she a different type of actress before she did Beverly Hills? An adult films actress, perhaps?
I think that was just Sylvester Stallone. But
okay.
No, she was always just a regular actress. She was on a soap opera called Another World and ABC After School Specials and CBS School Break Special. But Obama was right about the internet. It is a threat. Please shut this off. I never want to see another foot fetishist in my life.
I'm still reading over this. Like, what's your favorite part? Because mine, the fact that your reference is Zoolander is fucking hilarious to me. But
that
also,
is amazing.
Also calling, it's created thousands of jobs at networks such as MSDNC and fake news CNN. Calling those news networks that is so funny.
I think my favorite part is just that first line because he's trying to be official, but it's so Trump. I write to you today regarding the so-called disciplinary committee.
So-called.
Aimed at revoking my union membership. Who cares?
And while I'm not familiar with your word, he takes every opportunity possible in this letter to be a complete dick, and I love it.
It is. You can really see that in his 4 years, he was always the same Trump. Nothing has changed about him, and nothing will ever change.
God willing.
We didn't deserve him. We deserved another. We didn't deserve it, but we needed another 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck the Yemeni children. I needed a lapse.
Well, Jesus. Oh, man. I don't even remember what I was going to say now.
It's just it's a masterpiece. This needs to go in a museum.
Referencing Zoolander. So funny to me.
Not even number one. Not the good one.
Also,
number 2.
Also, Home Alone 2. He's in
it for 10 seconds.
It's a cameo. He just points Kevin McAllister down the hallway, and that's it. It's because he owned the hotel, right? Or did he? Yeah, I think he had.
Yeah, he owned it. Yeah. It was if you ever wanted to use the Trump Towers in one of your movies, he had to have a cameo.
Yeah, okay, was it the Trump Tower? I wasn't sure, but whether it was or not, he owned it. Yeah.
It's all the Trump something, whether it's a Trump hotel or Trump Tower, whatever it is. Trump.
That reminds me of my favorite
Towers
tweet from him.
I don't know.
My favorite ever tweet from him is, "I promise not to do this to Greenland." And it's a Photoshop picture of a gigantic Trump Tower planted on top of a tiny little Greenland village on the coast. And it was when he was talking about buying Greenland. Like, he just wanted to straight up purchase it and annex it.
Dude, can you believe that was one of our first topics on this show?
Yeah, episode 9, if I remember correctly.
We renumbered a few in the first 10, so it's like either 8 or 9, but...
Yeah, it's somewhere around there.
Man, that was... Oh, man. I remember the day his Twitter got suspended, and I just made a meme from Spider-Man 1, and it's Tobey Maguire going, "I thought about him today. I missed him a lot." And his account suspended.
that was you who made that? That was a good one. I saw that reposted a bunch of places.
I didn't see it, but yeah, man, my memes are only good when there's a tragedy, and him getting suspended was a tragedy.
Absolutely tragic.
But in a way, seeing his tweets with an official presidential seal on it from an office he set up in Mar-a-Lago, Florida, is just...
Regards, President Donald J. Trump.
I really don't think we live in reality, man. What of this is real?
This is incredible.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's a good place.
We're out of steam. So, any closing thoughts?
No, I think we got everything out. I'm good.
Yeah. I just want to say that, the people killing your liberties have names and addresses, so I maybe I don't endorse it, but Uncle Ted will be proud if some people did some things. I await my trial in federal court. I can't wait to see yours on TV2,
people did
Porter.
some things. Real ones get the reference.
Oh, that'll be my that'll be my defense when I'm up on the stand.
Oh boy. Oh. So that's all we've got.
Yeah.
We didn't.
Like
did you notice? Did you notice we didn't even do an intro? We just hopped straight in. Yeah.
Yeah. Our intro has an intro anyway, so
that's true. It is kind of redundant. We should just not do it from now.
Yeah, I like our ad libs better, but if you're on YouTube or Odyssey, like and subscribe, leave a comment. I've noticed we're actually starting to get followers on Odyssey, so that's pretty cool. Either some people are migrating or they're finding us. If you're on Apple, leave a rating, share the show with your friends, and thanks for listening, I guess.